What's up, my little chickadees? Welcome to your favorite midnight pastime, Radio Respawn. We're rolling here at the Machinima offices. You ever wonder what would happen if a Jedi dropped his lightsaber? You've tuned into the right show, you little motherfucker, because we're about to find out. Got a panel of experts right here. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
We'll start with you.
Alrighty.
How's it going?
I'm Nicholas Werner. I'm a producer here at Machinima, and I've been the writer on all your history since the beginning. So,
One of my favorite shows
Since the beginning of
on
history.
the network.
since the beginning of history.
I need a little sippity drink. Go ahead.
I'm Justigard. I oversee all the video programming on the main Machinima channel and work with the editorial team with Inside Gaming.
I'm Short Wars. I'm manager of the programming that goes up on the Machinima Respawn channel, and I respond to Twitter messages all day.
Welcome back, the two
Thanks.
of you guys. Nick,
you.
welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Breaking your Radio Respawn hymen all over the place.
It wasn't as painful as I thought it'd be, honestly. You know?
Nope, no blood.
Speak for yourself, buddy.
We're gonna. We got some good topics today. Let me just highlight the major ones. I'm sure we'll get sidetracked at some point. We'll probably talk about lightsabers for fucking 45 minutes. But we're gonna open things up with Black Ops 2. Little Treyarch visit. I got a chance to visit the offices a little while ago.
lucky.
I've been just
So lucky.
biting my tongue so hard because they were like, if you tell anybody about this, we will find your family and we will fuck them to death.
I've been asking him, and he won't tell me.
No,
like he's
no, I
been
couldn't.
dedicated to that
I've
NDA.
seen guys following you, by the way, in the parking lot and everything. so-
Mark Lamia, the studio head over there, looked at me with his like fucking steely gaze. I was like, oh, jeez. Like looking into the eyes of the Sphinx. We have a little bit of a debate here in-house about, it's an age-old debate. I don't know why it's coming up right now. What would happen if you dropped your lightsaber? Would it go to the middle of the earth? I'm sure you guys are already, don't even start. We'll get to it.
This is why I'm here, sir.
We'll get to it.
This is why I'm here.
Hollywood came up with a scale measuring how big a nerd you are. We're going to go over that. I don't know. We'll discuss how valid this is. I'm already it's already in question because I think Hollywood already measured himself completely wrong on the scale. And then we're going to talk about MMOs. Let's start it off, though, with Black Ops 2. This is the balls in my court because I was there, but I'm going to describe to you guys my trip, and then we can discuss.
Yep.
And let us know, obviously let us know in the comment section of this radio show what your thoughts are on some of the Black Ops Deuce news, because I know the Respawn audience is rabid. Okay, so let's start off first off with what they were showing off. Campaign. They were showing off campaign.
Yep.
Like they always do every year, and every year everyone is just outraged that there's no multiplayer news every year, and it's like they never drop the multiplayer deets until later on.
Didn't
it's
they
like,
say, like, in Modern Warfare 3, like, only 50% of people actually finished the campaign? Or, like, less than that. It was, like, less than 50%.
yeah, I heard that, and it's funny that you say that because Modern Warfare 3 is the first COD that I never played the campaign through until last night.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Just getting ready
last
for
night
this.
on a whim. I'm like, I gotta just clean up
get
that
caught
little
up.
bit of my gamer score. Anyway, so yeah, they were showing off campaign, and then they actually went into a surprising amount of detail about at this point about multiplayer, which included a couple walkthroughs of two of the maps, primarily to show off like the improvements to the engine and the lighting and all that stuff. So it wasn't like there was people playing. I tried to get them to give us footage of the maps, and they were like, why? It's just so boring. It's just a guy.
Just kind of a tech demo.
Yeah, and I was like, listen, you showed it to us for a couple minutes, and it's like, I can already see there's like 3 drone kill streaks. One's in the air. One looks like it's got 4 little tracks. I'm like, I see coordinate grids up on the mini
Which
map.
doesn't exactly sound like the Vietnam era, by the way.
No. All right, you're cutting ahead. You're getting ahead of me.
Sorry, I'm just saying,
I'm trying to drop the multiplayer bits, and then as far as zombies go, they just confirmed that there would be zombies. They're there.
Nice.
They did say that they're going to blow it out. They're making it. They always say that, but
Are they gonna have a mode where it's like competitive multiplayer, but like a neutral zombie party randomly attacks you all?
Yeah, it just hops. It bleeds into multiplayer. They hinted at, again, it was all hints. Vonderhaar was on a real tight leash, so as far as multiplayer and everything goes. But they hinted at matchmaking for zombies, which is kind of cool, as well as potentially more players, so larger lobbies, which is also interesting. That implies bigger maps, more complex puzzles and stuff like that.
I'm predicting Jennifer Love Hewitt in Zombies this time around instead of Sarah Michelle Gellar.
So here's the big reveal, though. Near future, which is also sort of not the big reveal. It's like
How near future?
10 to 15 years, they're saying.
Okay. So we're talking like a sort of like Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter vibe kind of deal?
Yeah, maybe
That's
slightly
2024.
nearer
They're
future.
thinking like 2018. No.
Yeah.
Are you a chronologist?
So is Sam Worthington like the old grizzled veteran now? Is that the idea? Or what's the...
I don't know. They didn't break down any of that stuff. So it's going to be, it's going to be near future, and they're focusing on. It's kind of interesting. Excuse me, Wolfman Sark does a number on the windpipe. It's kind of interesting listening to the guys at Treyarch talk about an emphasis on authenticity, because you think of COD as such an arcade game. But Lamia he's focused like a laser beam on legitimate world issues, backing up the campaign and sort of being the setting. And he started to sort of get me into it. I was like, because he was telling me, he was talking about rare earth elements. And he's like, do you know anything about this? I'm like, no. What is a rare earth element? And he's like, it's elements you've never even heard of. And I'm like, I've heard of a lot of elements. And he's like, you ever heard of national titanium? And I'm like, no. He's like, it's one of many, and they're found in like deep in the earth, and it takes an invasive mining procedure to strip mine it out of the earth. I'm like, okay. And at this point, I'm like starting to forget that I'm there for a Call of Duty event. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, and it's like a rape of Mother Earth, and America's not willing to do that. And he's like, do you know where all the oil comes from? And I'm like, what are we talking about oil now? He's like, it comes from all over. America, Russia, Middle East, all over. You know where the rare earth elements come from? I'm like, where do they come from? China. 95% of them come from China. And I was like, okay, what is that important? He's like, because they go into everything electronic. Everything electronic is made using these elements, and 95% of the rare earth elements come from China. So he shows up, he starts putting up pie charts, and now I'm starting to think like at the end of this, I'm going to find out who fucking killed JFK and what's in Hangar 18. So anyway, long story short, let me just steal one of your quotes, Star Wars. Long story short, they're really focusing on this sort of Chinese monopoly on rare earth elements, the impact that it's going to have on the world in the future, and the fact that that much control in the hands of one country is going to be dangerous. And then there's an emphasis in the game as on like drones and the taking over of drones and all that. So I don't know. I'm missing a bunch of stuff. That's all backstory. Let me just hit on a couple of the game mechanics, because that's the stuff that like really matters. I was into the conspiracy theory stuff, but
minerals.
Yeah. You know what a rare earth element is?
Rubidium, americium,
unobtainium.
Unobtainium. So they're adding. They're really going nuts with this stuff. So. They showed some of the potential kill streaks. You can always glean a few little multiplayer tidbits from the campaign stuff, but what's really cool is they're adding like a branching storyline. So as you go through the campaign, like side missions will pop up. And I told him, I was like, I think it's kind of cool because you're out spec ops. You're going to get zombies in the Treyarch game, obviously, but you're also getting some spec ops. Which is cool, because as you go through the campaign, there's side missions that are sort of one-offs, and depending on which ones you choose to
So it's like there's a hub? Or
sort
something?
of, yeah.
Okay.
It's almost like a path, and depending on which ones you choose, you can win or fail, and it will actually affect potentially even like character deaths.
That's awesome.
In the main campaign.
Yeah.
And those missions include, they're called Strike Force missions. They're sort of side missions. They include the ability to play completely from a number of different angles. So you can actually play it as if it's a third-person strategy game. So you're like Overwatch, he called it, and you're looking down at all your soldiers, and you're telling them to go here, go there, and it's like heat signatures and stuff. And at any time, you can be like and zoom into any of the soldiers wherever they are on the battlefield and play as them. And if they have drones up, you can be like into the drone. So then you're flying the drone, and you can be backing out and playing from all these different angles. So it's like. Kind of badass.
I love the fact that we're getting to a point where genres don't exist more. Like RTS is bleeding into shooter, RPG is bleeding into shooter's bleeding into both of those. There will be a world one day where there is no genre. You just play a game and it has elements of everything in it.
That sounds scarily like a new idea in a Call of Duty game.
Yeah, I have, after Black Ops 1, I have a lot of confidence in Treyarch. I like that they sort of are pushing the envelope as much as I think you can get away with, considering that it's I think the philosophies don't fuck with the formula. So I think they're sort of trying to flex within the boundaries that are set as far as like working on that franchise. So let's move on to our next topic, though. I think this is a Machinima debate. We're going to make honestly, I think it's going to be real quick. So lightsaber drop. The question arose, and this is not old. I mean, there's shit on old fucking AOL Earthlink websites about this. If you dropped a lightsaber, would it cut to the middle of the Earth? Do you want me to just kick it off?
So
right now?
I have a question about
that question
this.
for you, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, we'll see. The question I have is, we're talking about dropping a lightsaber straight down, like pointy end down, into the Earth.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, however you want to drop it. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna say here. Back me up on this, Shore. Hold on.
Go for it.
I'm gonna just say no.
Nope.
No. There's got to be fucking kill switches on there. Darth Vader throws his around, that's true, but he's holding the switch down with the Force.
Yep.
And also, if you melted the Earth around the handle would eventually melt and the thing would break. So I'm gonna say no, absolutely not.
So yeah, I mean,
Did I cover all those bases?
Basically, the way I see it is, if you drop a lightsaber, it's going to shut off on its own. I mean,
and that is
it actually
true.
happens a couple times.
That is true. In the actual Star Wars Extended Universe canon, they are built with switches tied to the owner, and so if you let go of them, the lightsaber does turn off.
The other interesting thing about Jedi lightsabers is that a Jedi is not supposed to use another Jedi's lightsaber.
Yes.
And that actually happened a couple times too. But
Well,
anyway,
emergency circumstances.
Yeah,
I would just say, though, there's that one scene in Episode 1, Phantom Menace, when Qui-Gon's cutting through the door, and it looks like he's exerting some effort in order to do that. He doesn't just like flipping around.
Because he's not cutting; he's heating the metal
So
to like make a hole.
It takes a lot of effort to actually just to go through a door. So to get through the Earth seems like it would take quite a bit of effort.
Yeah.
That said, though, I think if you dropped it point down, and it
kept it ignited, and you were able to protect the handle.
Exactly. Well, I don't even think you need to protect the handle. I think that it would simply burn its way, however slowly, as long as the lightsaber stayed on, eventually till it got down to like the core and just melted. But I think eventually you'd be able to get through, simply because it's like a super hot drill, basically.
And assuming the handle didn't melt.
Exactly.
I tell my friends that there's a safety mechanism built in by the Jedi, so when they drop it, it just turns off.
I'm glad we're all in agreement, but we're going to take a real quick break,
which means I gotta put on my sunglasses and welcome you guys to the break. You guys, don't you go anywhere, don't you touch those dials. Do radios even have dials anymore? You guys? They don't, I don't think they do. Don't touch them. You know what I mean. We'll see you guys right after this break from a word from our sponsors.
I don't think radios do have dials.
No, it's on the steering wheel now. You know,
mine's a touchscreen. It's a digital radio thing. You know a lot about lightsabers, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, dude, trust me, I can tell you
What
about.
the hell does this button do?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Incredible cross.
Oh shit!
Nick, what have you done?
Fuck!
You've doomed us all.
Which one would it hit?
Whoa, dude! Whoa!
Don't worry, I got this, you guys. All the oxygen's gonna leave this room in 10 seconds.
Wait, sorry, I didn't sign up for this.
Hyperventilate! Quick! Hyperventilate! Hyperventilate! You're good. Close your eyes and keep your eyeballs from popping out of your head. Hyperventilating hard enough.
My head's spinning.
Go on.
We're gonna die if you don't hyperventilate hard.
All right, I got it. Nick, nearly fucked us. We're back in 5 seconds, you guys. What a break. Just be cool. Don't touch anything. Don't touch anything, Nick.
And we're back. Welcome back from Radio Respawn. Absolutely nothing unusual happened while we were on break. Everything's awesome right now. Why are you guys looking all so red? Why are your eyes watering? Get emotional. Get emotional thinking about this next topic we're going to talk about.
Levels of nerddom. Let's break it down. Hollywood came up with a scale.
Which is bullshit by the magic, because by the way, because it's all based on that.
By the magic?
Yeah, you took a peek.
I've been peeking.
Let me just read this so the viewers can weigh in here. Are you good here? Watch your elbows, Nick.
If you don't want me to push it,
we're good.
don't put a don't push it sign there.
Okay. All right.
All right.
What kind of nerd are you? Asks Hollywood. A 6'8" black man who wears a skull mask. Here's the wood scale. And he puts it in the terms of Magic the Gathering, which automatically he gets a point. But here you go. Level 5 out of 5. You bought a Black Lotus for, he says, $1,000. It's
actually $2,300.
Yeah.
Isn't that a sports car?
No. See, there you go. -1. -1.
Sorry.
5, you bought a Black Lotus. 4, I'm building decks to beat other people in my group, spending hundreds of dollars to build a deck.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
You don't have to spend hundreds to beat him. I'm just telling you.
3.5, you use hotkeys for MMOs. This is what Wood thinks he's at. He gave himself a 0.5. Number 3, I play WoW 20 hours a week. Or Magic or something. God, the scale's so weird. 2, you play Magic once a week. 1, I bought Pokemon cards. All right, so let's talk about, for everyone who doesn't play Magic,
So this means
5
bought
levels of
Pokemon
nerds.
cards, right?
Yeah. I would actually honestly say that this scale is probably more like a chronological progression of Hollywood's life.
Right.
Scale.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. So
I've set hotkeys on RTS. Does that count?
I guess. Where's Hollywood when we I should call him.
So what I don't understand is, like, on 5, it says debate whatever you're into for hours at a time. Isn't that just being, like, a human being?
Yes.
Or on Radio Respawn.
Or
All
anybody
right,
that works at Machinima?
so how about this? On a 1 to 5, forget Wood scale. Let's just do 1 to 5 for a second.
Yeah.
How far up the scale are you, would you say?
Well, it depends. Like, you usually think of like a nerdiest nerd as like that guy who never leaves his basement or whatever and is totally fat. But you know, we're all pretty nerdy guys, and we all get like deep in the lore of the shit that we like. So we could be 5s in that sense.
4.5 at the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, it's like it doesn't mean like you're socially inept, which is what you normally think of as the nerdiest kind of nerd.
And for
You don't need to be defensive, Nick. We're not judging you here.
Really,
So
really,
for being a 6'8" black man who wears a skull mask, Hollywood is like one of the nerdiest people I know. Like, he would surprise you with how nerdy he is.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You know.
I've got about 500 plus unopened Star Wars figures at home.
yeah.
I'd give myself about a 3.5 though. You know,
I don't know, 4.
I know a lot about
You
Star
like
Wars. I like
baseball.
Star Wars.
He likes like
Yeah, like I like real sports, basketball,
Stuff
baseball,
like that.
football.
I feel like the Star Wars argument is kind of invalidated by the fact that you happen to find a woman who wants to spend the rest of her life with you. So just kind of even out. You know what I mean?
I have sort of an interest in men's fashion. Does that take any points off for me?
That deducts points, I would think.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Define sort of an interest.
Like, I like reading Details magazine and seeing what's in this season.
Right.
And yet you're wearing that.
Yep.
Maybe that's in this season.
I shop at Target and I buy all the nerd shirts. I don't know. Here's my theory on nerddom. It's not 1 to 5 is almost how many genres of nerd do you cover?
Right.
Because there's video game nerd,
Anime.
movie nerd, comic book nerd.
Nope.
Yep.
See, I'm not. I skipped comic books too. I just don't have time. There's not enough time. There's like pen and paper RPG nerd.
Nope. Magic nerd.
TV nerd.
TV nerd.
Collectible card game.
Or
nerd.
board games.
Yeah, whatever. And then
Board
you can
game.
even subdivide those into video game genres. Because now it's like, if you
But what
play
about,
COD,
like,
you're like a jock. But if you play Kingdom of Amalur, you're the nerd.
Right.
Or like, for example, I consider myself like a history buff. Now, does that count as nerd, or is that something like separate entirely?
That's just
Traditionally-
intelligence.
Yeah, I'll take
Traditionally, you're a nerd. That's a nerd
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
If it's smart, it's nerd.
Yeah.
that. All right,
Right?
So there you go.
I'm just going by the Saved by the Bell.
I think
definition.
I think that's fair. I mean, I think we're all screeching our own way.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the term nerd sort of bums me out.
As long as you're having fun, right? If you're enjoying what you're doing.
I'm into video games.
Whatever.
Some dude's into cars. Why is he not a nerd?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody once pointed out, I forget who, it wasn't the Far Side, but it was somebody like comic pointed out, jocks make fun of geeks for doing like looking over D&D and talking about like +1 daggers and all that shit, and then they'll turn around and talk about RBIs and like all these like baseball stats or whatever,
and slap each other on the ass and be like GG.
Yep.
Right, like their fantasy baseball teams are all based on numbers, so like it's just as much number bullshit in sports as it is in
fucking
anything
jocks.
else. Yeah, fuck.
GG. Gay game. That's what that means. What else we got? MMOs. Let's stop talking about all this nerdy shit and talk about some MMOs.
Yay.
All right, so there's a few topics here we're going to blast through. So, always will anything topple WoW comes up, and specifically we're looking at Star Wars, obviously. There's some statistics floating around that they may actually be plateauing a little early subscriber-wise, so... They wanted 2 million at this point, and they're hovering at around 1.7 million server populations. They're sort of fluctuating. Right. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, World of Warcraft is like a social phenomenon, so like you can't compare yourself against that. Like it's just ridiculous, I think.
You also can't compare an MMO with when WoW came out, what the MMO landscape was doing. You cannot compare to where MMOs are now. Everyone saw WoW and was like, we need to do MMOs. So now you have a much different like space for MMOs than you did when WoW came out.
At this point, if you're not a free-to-play MMO out of the box, you're doing something right. I think. I mean, well, not necessarily. I guess you could be making money in the long run through free to play. But if you're not free to play, if you're a retail release like the Old Republic, I mean, you're getting 2 million people to play. You're doing pretty good.
I disagree with you. I think the free-to-play space is actually going to be where MMOs go. I think that the subscription model and the pay, like to play, is leaving, and I think it's all going to be free-to-play.
No, I agree.
I think you're right, and then you're right.
Yeah, I think
it used to be. It used to be where games went to die.
Like I think the Old Republic will eventually become free-to-play. Like down the road.
We'll see. I mean, I kind of hope it does do well because I'm still playing it. I'm actually a really big fan of Old Republic, and I'm one of the guys who's like, once you've played Old Republic, why in God's name would you ever go back and play World of Warcraft? Because everything that WoW does, I feel like Old Republic does better. Plus, it has story, which is something World of Warcraft never had any of. It was just like, go kill 8 boars.
That said, I do think that the Old Republic, in terms of MMOs since WoW, is the biggest one, and I do think that it is.
That's awesome.
It is the one that WoW players have sort of looked at as a serious option.
On that note, WoW, it's just hard to dig up.
It's like a text bubble that's like 2 sentences long versus... Have you played Old Republic at all? Have you spent any time in there? Like it's like...
An hour?
It's unbelievable to me how much spoken dialogue there is everywhere in everything.
I was just going to say, hats off to BioWare, right? Yeah. I mean, for pulling this off. Like, it's not like... I mean, they did a lot of great video games in the past. Jade Empire, obviously Mass Effect. Like, they've done a lot of this stuff, but... To pull it off in an MMO space, like that's pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah, and I have a lot of fun with that game. I was just playing some over the weekend myself. And
well, that's what we're going out on. Thanks for hopping onto the show. Real quick, go down the table. What are you playing? What's in your Xbox, PS3, Wii, PC right now?
I'm currently playing the MLB app on Xbox Live. It's amazing. Seriously, for baseball fans out there, it's legit. You can watch every game from 2011, every game from 2012. So
-1 nerd point. That's right. You fucking jock. Slap his ass for me.
Home run.
Thanks, Vicino.
You're welcome. Believe it or not, You okay?
I'm good.
That was from me.
Okay. Hurt my hand a little bit. I'm actually, believe it or not, still playing the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. I just can't get enough of it. It's so freaking solid.
Still need to do Mass Effect 3.
It's the multiplayer. I just can't stop playing it. And BioWare keeps giving me reason to go back every weekend with like new community challenges and stuff. So.
If you say Dawn of War, I swear to God, I'm going to push the air evacuation button.
No, I'm sort of balancing right now between getting back into Skyrim, getting back into Battlefield 3, getting back into Old Republic, and then still doing my second playthrough of Mass Effect 3.
All right. And I'm playing, I just finished the COD campaign. I think I'm going to move into Mass Effect 3. I still got to finish that stuff.
Oh, by the way, entire season of Transformers on Netflix. 98 episodes.
And G.I. Joe,
G1.
I saw.
Yeah, and
that's with the cartoonage.
I'm playing that as well.
All right, you guys. We're about to punch out of Radio Respawn, and that's when we put on the sunglasses again.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's crazy. It's weird. It's weird technology that takes over my head whenever I put these things on. It's crazy. All
We're going to put on the glass one more time. We're going to sign out of Radio Respawn. Yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks a lot for pushing the button, nearly ending the world, Nick. It's so exciting. You guys are level 2, level 4, and level 4 nerds. I'm a level 4, 4.5. 4.54. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. What level nerd are you? Let us know in the comment section. It's just unintelligible comment. See you next time. Thanks for watching Radio Respawn.